Alright, I am making a video off the dome here. I am actually going to write down what I'm going to be talking about, but I am creating this channel to go through, kind of introduce myself. I'm looking to just kind of create a page or kind of create a brand in a sense. I think the best way to do that is just telling about what I'm doing currently, introducing myself, saying what I've done before, how I got into it, what I'm doing currently, and where I plan to be, and share some of my experiences as a young real estate investor in a sense now, I guess. So I am going to go over before, well, I guess me, and then before um, experience, and then now, later, and why, and first deal. And my takeaways. Um, so I'm pretty much going to say, just kind of go through some of my experience, what I've done before, what kind of led me to this point, and I guess why I'm even making any videos in the first place. So, um, start out with me. My name is Logan Betts. I am 22 years old, and about 3 years ago, I started getting into real estate, and the way that everybody says that you should get into real estate on YouTube anymore, which is wholesaling for free. But what actually led me to that point was kind of um, the first real job I've ever had, and me going, I don't like this, and I would rather do something on my own terms, essentially. Um, so my previous work experience was really just Dairy Queen in high school, and concrete and the summers with my dad. And Dairy Queen sucked, just fast food, greasy, low pay. And then concrete is concrete. It's just harder work, and I mean the pay's okay, I guess, or it was. I mean I was just like a helper anyways, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do, and I knew that. So after that, after high school, I actually was working with my stepdad. So he got me on a job with him, and it was like a travel job for like pipe fitting, or really tubing. It's actually tubing because it's not pipe, it's tubing. Um, pretty sensitive wording there around the industry. It's tubing. Um, so I worked with him as a helper as well. Paid great. I started college for electrical engineering. It was online college, and really that's not the way I learn. Or well, actually, it is the way I learn because after the breakdown, you notice that I definitely haven't been hands on with things in a sense as far as physically until recently. So I was doing my electrical engineering degree, and I thought I had everything kind of figured out on the path that I wanted to go. Now I did have in the back of my mind I had started seeing some things on real estate, and really the first video that ever sparked my brain was a video by Paul McComas on TikTok about him saying selling contracts. But that's going to come into a little bit of later play. So I really didn't start note taking and really getting into those details until after I realized that what I wanted to do with my stepdad is not something that I actually wanted to do long term. It was a great opportunity and really set me up to do what I did want to do, but it's just not something that I saw myself in long term. So I was working the first week. I think it was my second week of actual work in my first week of college, when I had talked to some of the other electrical engineers on the site, and that's the position I was going for. Essentially, was I was going to do this helper, and then I was going to move up to whatever I got up to, and then I would be an instrument fitter, and then eventually I would be an electrical engineer or an a instrument tech or something along those lines. And it's travel work. It was travel work. You go to job. I'm sure I could have maybe got something local or close or something, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I've always liked architecture, but I dropped out of this online course pretty quickly, soon enough to where I didn't get charged for anything because I dropped out that fast. And I mean, I still worked the rest of the job. I worked the rest of the job out. I don't know if I actually missed a single day because that's just not really how I operate. So I didn't miss, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I missed a single day of work where they had work. Um, so I did that. I think that was like an 8 month project job where I was just pretty much going and getting stuff for people. It was cool work. It was satisfying work. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do. So let's see. That's me before real estate. That's what I did. And then now getting into what I did after. So I saved up money and I didn't really spend it on anything. And I was living with my parents. I kind of had the perfect scenario set up to learn about something I had no idea about and jump into something that could fail without any real penalty. So that's kind of what led me to this point of wholesaling real estate in this time frame. Now I didn't really Paul McComas is who actually introduced me to real estate, I would say, but Jerry Norton is who really took me to real interest level and I learned a lot from. Now, I watched a lot of Jerry Norton, and then in this time frame, I found someone named Zach Ginn and Rick Ginn, and they're a father-son kind of duo on YouTube. And both of these people give free information away pretty consistently, and it's really good information, I would say. Of course, there's always something missing, but well, I wouldn't say there's something missing, but you can't get the full experience from a YouTube video. You can't get the full experience from 100 YouTube videos. And I would say I watched at least that minimum. I think at one point I watched both of Jerry Norton and Zach Ginn, maybe every video they ever posted, or at least about real estate or something. I don't know. I watched a lot of them and took a lot of notes. So while I was working with my stepdad, I watched a lot of videos and did a lot of note taking and kind of treated YouTube like college because these were all on YouTube. I found them on YouTube. And I think the reason I related and started watching Zach Ginn a lot more is because he was more my age. He was 23 at the time, or maybe 24. I guess he's like 26 or 27 now. That adds up. And I just started taking a lot of notes, how he said to do it, how to do it for free, because I didn't want to get out of working and then go spend all my money and then have nothing for living. And then on top of that, it seemed like something where everyone was saying that I could do it for free. And I was like, okay, well, if it can be done for free, I'm going to do it for free. If you can do something for free, imagine what you can do with it if you have money. It's just like you start paying for people's time. That's just kind of what it comes down to. So since I took all these notes, how to pull a good list, why does a good list matter? Why does skip tracing matter? Why would even someone sell their house? What remodel? How to basically budget for remodels? Things like that. What's a good area? What's a bad area? Should I do this locally? Should I do this in a virtual market? And what wholesaling is, just before I forget, is it's really just finding a product and either buying it. In this case, you're not even buying it, you're getting a contract and then you're selling it to someone else. So what wholesaling real estate is, and I'm doing it virtually, or 99% virtually. I've went to a couple houses, but one of them I bought. That's for a later event. But I'm pulling this list. I'm finding people that want to sell their house. Usually the house is pretty messed up, needs a lot of renovation, sometimes not even livable. We're getting these under contract, and then we're selling the contracts to these houses so someone else performs on it, and they give us an assignment fee. Or we can double close on it, and then we close, and then we turn around and sell it again to someone else. And there's like wholetailing, which is like maybe we buy it, and then we clean it out, and then we resell it immediately. And then of course you get into flips and other stuff. But right now we're just going to talk about wholesaling, mainly through assignment of contracts. So you get a good enough deal, and then you sell your contract to that deal, and then you don't need a license to do it because pretty much, in most states, or really I don't know if there's any case study where you can just make contracts and it's just contract law. You can pretty much form a contract for anything with anybody. So that's what I did, and that's what I learned is wholesaling real estate, getting a property under contract that someone wants to sell, and then selling to someone else for an assignment fee. And that's like, oh wow, yeah, it's find someone that wants to sell the house for more. It sounds pretty easy when it's put like that, but what I learned from these people was it can get really hard and really expensive very fast. And what they taught me was your list matters, and your skip tracing matters, and your follow-up matters an extreme amount. So I'm about to go into some of my experiences in my year one, my year two, my year three. So I started in like the first quarter or the second quarter, of 2023. That's when I really started wholesaling and really started getting into it. And from these videos, I decided that I was going to go with code violation lists. That's because they're free and they seemed like they would have a lot of motivation. Now, what a code violation list is people that don't mow their grass or haven't mowed their grass or maybe have trash in their yard and they get fined by the city. And on the surface level thought, it's why would someone that didn't mow their grass want to sell their house? It doesn't necessarily add up. But really, the main thing that you're looking to get out of a list where a lot of people are doing things wrong is you're looking more than just the surface level on why they might want to sell or what the actual list is titled. So, for example, someone that went on vacation and just didn't mow their grass and didn't have anyone to do it, they might get a $100 violation and they call it a day and they pay it. But someone that hasn't mowed their grass in 3 months and their violation's stacking up to now maybe in the thousands, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Why are they not mowing it? Why are they not able to? What's wrong with it? You know what the situation that you get into sometimes is they literally could not mow the grass. They were maybe an older person, or maybe they didn't live there, or maybe it got too tall and there's no way for them to do it. There's so many reasons why someone might not mow their grass and you might not think about it versus the basics of, oh, they just went on vacation. A lot of mistakes that people make when they're pulling their list is not thinking about how they can help somebody and what a real issue to solve is. And I think that's why a lot of people start out doing high equity lists is because all you're thinking about is something that's surface level is, okay, how can I find someone that can sell me a house for a discount? It's like, oh, they have a lot of equity in their house, they can sell it to me for cheap. Well, that's true, but you got to think about why they would sell it to you and if you're solving any problem there. And if the problem's big enough for them to actually sell it to you for a discount, you know, where is the trade off? On a high equity list, you're just calling them and saying, hey, do you want to sell your paid off house to me for pennies on the dollar? It's like, no, why would they want to do that? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense, especially in anymore. It's like with rates how they are, it's you lose your interest rate or you lose a paid off house, like you're paying a substantial amount in the long run to get another one. So high equity list means nothing to me really, and I don't think it should be. I don't think it's really marketed like that anymore, at least. But it's just not a good list. It's definitely not for efficiency. Now, with a code violation list with tall grass, imagine that you move out of state owner, motivating factor, and you no longer can mow your grass, motivating factor, code violation, and no one lives there, and maybe you had an eviction, motivating factor. Now think about everything that just got combined there. You're out of state, you don't see the property, you had to evict the last person from the property, and now the property has a code violation on it. So you have an out of state owner, you have an eviction, and you have a grass violation. There's so many things that kind of add up to make someone motivated, and that's why you're pulling certain things. Now, you can get evictions for free, you can get code violations for free. Now, out of state owner, you kind of have to pay for in a sense. But so I started with code violations because it was a free list. So I'm calling this list of people that have fines on their house for not mowing their grass. And you're not looking, if you get one, awesome. If you get one, share it with me. But if you ever find a list where every single person on the list wants to sell, I'm in. Because even foreclosures where people have to sell or have to do something immediately, they still tell you no and cut you out. But in this case, in any case, you're just looking for the list that you can talk to the least amount of people and have the best responses. So on a high equity list, you could talk to 50, 100 people and none of them want to sell their house. Or let's say for every 50 people, one person wants to sell their house. Okay, well on a code violation list, every 1 in 5 or every 1 in 10 people want to sell their house. Think about how many less people you now have to talk to. And it's not just like, oh, I have to talk to more people now. It's, well, now you have to spend more time on the phones. You have to spend more time you have to spend more money on mail. You have to spend this here. You have to spend money here and time here for all of this. So you're really trying to find your best ratio from how many people talk to leads. That's what it comes down to. I just spit over in the corner. But that's what you're looking for. And in this case, I was looking to get one for free, so I did the free list, and then I went with free skip tracing, true people search, and that was very tedious and very annoying. So I have this spreadsheet list from the county of code violations that you have to go for, like building commission, code enforcement, public works, something like that. I put it in Excel. I put it in a Google sheet because I hate Excel, and then I went in True People Search and did the first 4 to 5 numbers on there. Put them all in there, and I just went and called it every single day until I found owners. I would mark owners. I would mark people that were not interested. I would mark people that wanted me to follow up with them. I would mark right numbers. I would make wrong numbers, because that's the second thing, is you're gonna have skip tracing. Skip tracing is like I would say it's like a phone book. Imagine a phone book, but an online phone book. That's what True People Search is, where you type in the address, you get a phone number, except for it's not accurate, or it's not really accurate, maybe like 25% accurate at peak. So having good skip tracing, so imagine you have a list of 100 people, and you already know that on this list of 100 people, only 4 people are going to be motivated. Or let's use a code violation list. Let's say you already know that only 10 people on this entire list are probably going to be motivated. Okay, well, you need to talk to all 100 people, so in this case, or you need to talk to at least 100 people. So you need the best skip trace provider so that you're making sure that you're not only talking to 20 people on this list, because you need to talk to 100 people. So whatever the case is, you have this good list. You now need your best skip trace provider, because if you only talk to 5 people on this list, you're in tough territory, because you have a low chance, versus if you talk to 50 people on this list, you have a better chance. And without going and getting a brand new list, because you already have a good list. So it's about getting a good list and being able to have a good skip trace provider that will let you pull the most amount of owners out of a list. Then after that, you have follow up, which means you're pretty much just following up with people, building a connection with them, finding out how you can help them, and then you have to make offers. Making offers is, if you never make an offer, you never get a deal. You can follow up with 1,000 people and have people that want to sell you their house, but if you never send them an offer, you'll never get a deal. And then closing, there's title issues as well. So this is just kind of my experience. There's quiet titles, there's, break and chain of titles, there's liens on properties, there's lien holders you can't find, there's all kinds of things. And that's where it's important to have a really good title company that also knows what you're doing. But anyways, what my experience is year 1, 2023, I got 2 properties under contract. I closed my first one in the first 3 months. Yeah, or maybe 4 months. And it was a code violation list, and it was free, and I called it. And I found an owner on there, an older lady with a son that was a truck driver. In this situation, it wasn't a rougher part of Evansville, so keep that in mind, and it was a pretty roughed up property. So what this situation came down to was, she was older, she couldn't maintain the property, her son was a truck driver, and her husband had passed away like 15 years ago, I want to say. So this property was just kind of sitting there and deteriorating slowly. It had a bad roof. The son had to constantly take off work to come and mow the grass, or he had to make time out of his way to go and mow this grass, and then they would have to pay taxes on it, and then if he missed a week, they would have to pay these violation charges, and it was just, they had to find a mower to get over there and make sure the mower didn't get stolen in this area, and they weren't really doing anything with the actual house itself. And they owned the house free and clear because they'd owned it for so long, but they had taxes, and they had these violations on it now. So I talked to them, I said, hey, would you like to sell this house? They said yes. We sent someone out there to take pictures of it, and we realized it was in pretty bad shape. It was about a 1,500 square foot house. It was going to be worth about $160,000 if it was fully remodeled, but it needed about $80,000 to $90,000 in rehab in order to get to, that level. I'm talking electrical, plumbing, flooring, a new kitchen, new bathrooms, new roof, new siding, new windows. I mean, it really needed almost everything. Pest control, like it really needed everything. Landscaping, tree removal, we have trees in the yards that have been growing for years now, and like you're getting to the point where these weeds are turning into branches. So we got that one under contract. and then I was pretty much just finding any buyer I could through recent sales, through people that had rentals, and I found someone, and I signed this contract for $18,000. I made $9,000 on this first one. And what I learned through this first one was I needed to keep marketing. I stopped marketing, so I had no leads by the time this deal closed because I was so worried about this one going through. Now, would I change anything on this first one? Probably not, because I didn't know any better. Like, there was no way for me to actually go and know any better. Um, but then that's what I learned on the first one is you got to keep the pipeline moving. So that was my first year. I had this second one. It fell out due to foundation issues, and then we go into year two. I did in the first 4 months. I think I did like 6 deals. Um, I started learning. I built my pipeline from the previous year, and I just had been learning, and I started getting more under contract and closing on them. I really like to keep my contract to closing ratio pretty high. I don't want to be wasting people's time. I made buyer connections the same way. The assessor site, recent sales, rentals, Facebook groups. That's what did the best for me. The remaining 8 months of the year, I did another 16 deals. I think I did 21 or 22 that year. I might have done 23. And I just kept rolling pretty much. I kept doing what worked using good skip trace providers. At this point, I was paying for skip tracing through batch leads, and I was pulling lists on batch leads, but I did not give up on my code violations because those are really good lists. If anything, I was just making my list stronger and pulling bigger lists. I think by my fourth deal, I had invested into a dialer or batch dialer, and I had invested in a batch dialer, so I could in bulk skip tracing, so I could get my list faster, and it was better skip tracing than True People Search. If I remember correctly, I think it still is, just because True People Search is free. Some places don't even have numbers. So that was my first 2 years. Pretty much, I started investing back into the business. So I did get my first deal for free. Code violation list, True People Search, and really that's it. I think I was using. I might have paid. No, I think I was using the free plan on DocuSign as well. I think they had a free plan, and I had like 5 contracts a year or something like that I could use. So by my fifth deal, or maybe my sixth deal, I think my sixth deal is when I actually bought the dialer. So I now was doing bulk skip tracing. I had a dialer, a power dialer that would dial everybody while I sat there instead of me manually dialing every number. Bulk skip tracing, so I could skip trace a list of 1,000 people in, you know, 2 minutes versus 4 hours or something or more. And then I just kept kind of reinvesting. I don't know if I had any employees. I don't think 2024 I had a single employee. I might have had one employee, and I think I maybe put them on cold calling. So then we're moving into 2025. 2025 is where things got a lot crazier just because I kept doubling down and I started utilizing joint venture partners. I had found a couple really good buyers. One of those has expired due to wrongdoings pretty much on their behalf. But essentially, I found really good buyers and I was just loading deals to them through joint venture partners, through my own methods. And in 2025, I did about 135 deals. Now, within this time frame, I hired a lead manager. Well, I moved my cold caller to a lead manager position. I hired a cold caller. I hired someone to do underwriting for me and schedule photographers to go to properties. And I was also working with about 5 really good joint venture partners or like other wholesalers that were sending me deals, and I would dispo them for them. Now, my average assignment fee was fairly low, or my average fee per deal was fairly low, but I was doing so many of them that it ended up working out pretty good. What I learned within this time frame was that more is not better. It was nice, but it was not better. I learned so much. I learned how to systemize. When there's a bulk amount, the only way to keep up with bulk efficiently is to have a system. So I did develop systemization skills from this, I would say, and that was really beneficial. But I I did realize a couple things about the business model and what I didn't like and what I did like. So I did like working with wholesalers, and I also found out how to hire out a lot of things. So that was my year 3, pretty much, was just grinding out, working systems, working with other people, being okay with lower margins, but just absolutely spinning the wheels on it. It was pretty hectic, really. And then I had some buyer connections fall out, and when that happened, it felt like a really good time to kind of shift or pivot into, okay, well, instead of finding new ways to dispo at mass, how about I start learning how to get bigger margins and flip properties and keep properties myself. Year three, I learned how to delegate, how to systemize, and why you need more write-offs, and why I needed to start buying properties, and that was mainly like tax reasons. That was year three, and now we're in 2026. And the main reason I'm making this is because I'm looking to flip properties, and I actively bought one right now. I'm renovating, or having renovated. I'm working with a GC, and I'm probably not going to sub it out. I plan to just go ahead and run it with the GC as long as we can make it work. And I'm looking to build lender connections. I'm looking to build a brand, and I'm honestly just looking to share what I've learned, how I've learned it. So all these people that I've watched online, they were great and they've taught me a lot of things, but there's always something that gets left out. Another person that I've been watching recently is, man, what is his name? He's young and he's out of like Omaha or something like that. What is his name though? Man. Hopefully it's right at the top of my feed. What are the chances of that? It is Cameron Burke. Cameron Burke is a really good person to watch. I've been really liking to watch him. Zach Ginn, Jerry Norton. But I feel like they leave things out sometimes, not intentionally, but just because they do, or maybe they don't do their own acquisitions. So I do my own acquisitions, also partner with other wholesalers, and I'm now looking to get into buying my own properties and keeping them, as well as wholesale, of course. So just documenting my journey, building a brand, building a reputation, not just being able to say what I did to people, but be able to show them. I'm also looking to start building private capital as well, instead of only using hard money lenders. So getting loans from people I know, or maybe people that trust me, where I can flip a house versus using hard money, and just kind of giving it to some larger corporation in a sense. That's kind of why I'm doing this. And that was kind of some of my experience. And then, let's see, that's what I'm looking to do now. I'm looking to ultimately start holding a lot of rentals. I want to start buying rentals that can cash flow me, where I can pull all my money out. Who wouldn't, right? I'm going to have to learn how to deal with tenants and all of that as well. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Is I'm looking to build connections, and I'm looking to build a brand. And then my main reasons are just, I think I could have learned a lot from a young person, and I did, obviously, like Zach Ginn or even these other people. I think I could have learned a lot if I had someone post and not really just like filter themselves, which a lot of people aren't filtering anymore. I feel like it's getting a more open space than ever. But if I just seen someone go through the renovation process, or not leave anything out and show their difficulties, and just go by kind of like raw data in a sense, I think that would have helped a lot, and just some of the struggles and stuff like that. And then also it really is just like document my own process in a sense. It feels like a journal, and I don't journal, but this is going to be like my version of it. So that's kind of my whys. Share what I know, put it out there, document it, build connections. And then, yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything. I kind of went over what I did before I learned about real estate, how I learned about real estate, what I did when I started implementing it, what my first year was, some of those takeaways. You got to keep following up. And then my second year, get the ball rolling. Make sure your list stay good. Don't saturate your stuff because you're picking up pace. In the third year, it's just kind of like my main takeaways were more isn't better. Maybe just think about what you're doing a little bit more, and make sure that you're doing what you want to do, and not just kind of getting stuck in the process. And I would say that ultimately my biggest overall takeaways is find a problem that you can solve for somebody, follow up with people, do what you say you're going to do, and never stop trying to learn the next thing. Like, honestly, that's kind of what I'm built on, is every time I figure something out, I don't even give myself time to be bored. I just move on to the next thing that I want to learn. I think that's the most satisfying way to do it, and it's always just straight progression. But yeah, I'll be posting more videos coming soon. I have a property that I just bought in Evansville about 2 months ago. I'll be doing like a little bit of a story time on that one in another video probably. I'll make it its own little playlist. But essentially what happened with that one is I bought it. Two people lived in there, and I gave them cash for keys to get out by a certain date. They actually did. They had like 15 animals, and it's flea infested. And we're about to start renovations. I have kind of went through the process of picking a general contractor to do it, and I went through about 20 bids with other people, and I think that this is the person I'm going to go with, and we're going to start doing the renovation. Then I have tenant issues, and I'm going to have all kinds of issues. So I'm going to post everything here. And you'll see me in those videos. But yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My first video, introduction, feels like it makes sense, and kind of share what I plan to do from here on out. And also finally use this new camera that I got, because I have yet to use it, and that's the reason I got it. So yeah, peace out.